those days there was nothing called software companies, software jobs. So government job means a job. Otherwise, you're done. For UPSC, yes, very few clear it in the first attempt. Otherwise, it's gonna be a long journey. Even those who clear in the first attempt will have studied so many years before that. Hence, they're able to clear it in the first attempt. Sort of helped me to always be on toes, not settle in a zone, not be in a comfort zone and enjoy. Always trying to better myself. So it helped that way. So quite a strict parenthood I had. But my parents broke down. They started crying because naturally, however open-minded they were, because of the perception that armed forces is a tough job and it's traditionally not been for women. So they were worried about me rather. After when I was appearing for placements, Air Force itself had come on campus. So it became a pure coincidence that I entered the military. Otherwise, I was thinking probably I'll go in the research line next. But now, speaking of me, I was like a frog in a pond, I would say. I had no clue that Delhi was a hub for civil services. I was obsessed with this MTech itself because MTech workload was too much. The things are changing now because the nature of warfare is changing. From fighting man to man, it's now pressing of a button, firing of a missile, which a woman also can very well do. So now the nature of warfare having changed, the entry of women into forces, and that too as officers, and promotion into leadership levels is now increasing. Instead of doing that, you are looking at your stars, you're looking at your astrology, ki my time will improve. That will only waste your time and will increase your problems, and it will end up in a more dangerous situation which could have been easily avoided, I would say. Now it's up to the parents to take that bold step and allow the girl children to explore anything and everything they want to without bounds. I think that culture has to change from bottom up rather than top to bottom, I would say.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಟುಡೇ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅಮಾಂಗ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಸ್ಕ್ವಾಡ್ ಲೀಡರ್ ವಿನುತಾ ಜಿ ಆರ್. ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಥೆಯನ್ನು ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು. ಮೈಸೂರಿನ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಕುಟುಂಬದಲ್ಲಿ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ಇಬ್ಬರೂ ಕೂಡ ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ನೌಕರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ, ನಂತರ ಎಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್, IIT ಡೆಲ್ಲಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಜುಯೇಷನ್, 10 ವರ್ಷ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಏರ್ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಏರ್ಫೋರ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇವೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತಾ, ಅದಾಗಿ ಕೂಡ UPSC ಕನಸನ್ನು ಉಣಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಈಗ ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಅಚೀವ್ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಜರ್ನಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಬಾರಿ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಹೀಗೆ ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳ ನಡುವೆ ಉಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಜರ್ನಿನ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಬಿ ಅ ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಟು ಗೋ ಫಾರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೊ ಮಚ್ ಫಾರ್ ಜಾಯ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅಸ್. Let's now listen to Squadron Leader Vinutha G R for accepting our invitation. And the larger idea about UPSC success is what we are celebrating. But your journey, your life in itself is a story to tell. So if I have to ask you about your childhood and how did this journey took off towards Air Force and then civil services, how do you want to sum it up?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me here today. It's a pleasure to be here and to share my journey so that it can inspire everyone, whoever is watching this, so that it can inspire them to achieve higher goals in life. As you asked me, what was my journey throughout my childhood and what brought me here? Basically, I come from a humble background, I can say. My parents both were government servants, both are now retired. They worked hard throughout their way up. My father retired as a Group A officer. My mother retired as an accounts officer in BSNL. However, they were the first generation officers in their families. Before that, my mother's mother was working in agricultural fields in a village, and she had to work hard to feed the family. And my mother, through her hard work, I would say, got scholarships, etc., and got this government job. And my father also similarly has his own story, a big family, so many sisters. His parents were also again into agriculture. So they worked really hard to support him. So he paid it back by working hard and making it to a government service. Because those days, there was nothing called software companies, software jobs. So government job means a job. Otherwise, you're done. So they relieved their family from the hardship also. So they
So,
dreamt that I also should get into government service. Yes.
so when we see this larger idea of service, we see that you come from a very background where your parents have seen a lot of struggle. They have walked up those steps and seen through that journey. I'm sure you would have also walked some part of that journey through with them. And today, being in this position, before we get to every aspect of it, there are multiple people or millions of them across India who face difficulties at every level and still want to achieve something. If there's one thing you want to tell to them, what would it be?
This is irrespective of any endeavor, not just UPSC, be it people trying for armed forces like SSB, for example, NDA exam, or UPSC itself. I would say the key is there should be one reason within you. That reason will become the entire drive throughout your journey, because the journey will be or can be long. SSB, there is still a chance that you can do it in the first attempt itself, the Services Selection Board exam for armed forces, I mean to say. For UPSC, yes, very few clear it in the first attempt. Otherwise, it's gonna be a long journey. Even those who clear in the first attempt will have studied so many years before that, hence, they're able to clear it in the first attempt. So, what I mean to say is, it's going to be long journey. So that one reason, that why I want to do this, if that's clear in your mind and that is strong, your success and your perseverance throughout the journey will depend on how strong that reason within you is. As they say, motivation is internal, it cannot be externally infused. By me speaking to you or the audience, I mean to say, or any All India rank one speaking to them, it should be internal. The role models or whatever will only strengthen that resolve, but your drive should be from inside, and that will translate into perseverance. Yes, it is perseverance ultimately, but what helps build or sustain that perseverance is that inner reason, I would say.
Wonderful. So it's always about that particular reason, which probably would have found
Yes.
out very soon. But now coming back to the childhood aspect, both parents has government servants, so they will have their own strict work schedules. You said you have a elder sister, and both of you growing up in that larger background. Looking back today at your childhood, how would you reminisce your childhood, and what do you say about it?
Yes, very nice question, I would say. Um, as you mentioned, and as I also spoke a few minutes ago, my parents were both working. So it was my mother's mother, my maternal grandmother, who used to take care of us when mom and dad were away at office. So she used to feed us and take care of us, etc. So my mother's job was only to come and check कि homework किया कि नहीं तुमने did you do your homework or not, did you study this or not. So I would say very strict parenting, not like in the extreme sense, I mean, but quite strict, because definitely she had understood from her own experience that um, education and a good backing of degree is the only thing that can elevate us or take us to a good position. So that was very clear in her mind. So the same thing she applied on her children, that's us, we can say. It's quite strict, so strict that even today that reflects in my personality, that I'm very critical about myself. While I may have achieved success in certain fields, I always criticize myself so much that sometimes it makes it difficult for me to enjoy that also. So I would say they were critical, and that sort of helped me to always be on toes, not settle in a zone, not be in a comfort zone and enjoy, always trying to better myself. So it helped that way. So quite a strict parenthood I had. I mean, parents I had.
So, having understood that you're the younger kid, so
Yes.
naturally there'll definitely be some amount of pampering, and compared to the elder one, we see that you would have got a little more freedom, a little more thing as such. So, as you grew up and as you see through life today, so when you see that perspective, or to your own younger self, what you would want to say?
Okay. Um, I would like to say that it would have been better if I was less critical and probably listen to, enjoy at times as well. And also, like this idea of civil services stuck later, quite later in my mind. Although my parents were pushing for it since a long time. So this idea of civil services came to me much later, after my armed forces tenure, short service tenure was over. That's because initially it was my parents who were pushing me for it. But maybe the approach, they were quite strict about it. कि तुमने अभी डिग्री कर लिया, अभी ये करो. So I was like, no, no, मैं नहीं करूँगी, because they were
So
always strict on
before
me.
coming to that decisions of what after, now we all grow up in a society, and the society has multiple things to tell us, many times impose upon us. That this is how girls should be brought up. This is what girls can do, cannot do. And specifically, you said you were brought up by your grandmother.
Yes.
So, having been at that, did you face any restrictions, or did you face any natural stigma that this is how you are supposed to behave, this you are not supposed to behave? How did you encounter those things?
I would say I was fortunate that way, because my mother herself was a working lady, a working woman. So she didn't have any restriction on the kind of path I choose. The only objection I faced was when I wanted to join the military. Like in my family, there has been nobody in the military, in my far relatives also. So in the beginning, I mean, when I was about to start my journey of armed forces, when I got the call letter for training, joining instructions, I told my parents, yes, I've cleared everything now. My name is in the merit list. This was after my post graduation. I told them, now I want to join. This, I had no plans myself either. I've never pictured myself in the uniform, but because there was some scheme of fast track selection of Air Force within the campus, so I had tried and somehow got through. So now I had the call letter in my hand, but my parents broke down. They started crying, because naturally, however open minded they were, because of the perception that armed forces is a tough job, and it's traditionally not been for women. So they were worried about me, rather. More than restriction, I would say, there was too much worry in their minds for me. To the point that my mother broke down, started crying. It was almost like an emotional blackmail from my relatives and my mother and father.
So, how did you face all this? And especially the first thing is engineering, and you're from Mysore, so JC Mysore being one of the top colleges as such, very understandably, you've been a very bright academic side as such. So, coming back to that perspective, from Mysore to Delhi, IIT Delhi, and then from IIT Delhi to Air Force. So this journey, if you have to map through, so how did IIT happen? Was it a natural choice on your MTech, or is what something that you dreamt of?
Yeah. So now going back one step further in my journey, before armed forces, as you asked, how, first of all, how IIT? Engineering, naturally, after my 12th, that was a good choice, because I didn't like biology. I picked up engineering. So came to SJC for electrical. I had computer science choice in NIE College Mysore, but I went by the name of the college, SJC being
So that
more
was naturally a time where there was a
better.
lot of software push, Infosys,
Correct,
Wipro
correct.
idea.
Yes.
So how did you choose electrical as
Electrical.
such?
I would say I was quite young then, and rather in the long term, one would rather think about the subject rather than the college. But being younger, I was more, attached or attracted to the idea of number one college in Mysore, which was SJC. So I sidelined the stream. I thought SJC mein rehna hai, be it whatever. So I went into SJC. Now, why MTech and IIT? That was because of my seniors, branch seniors, because especially in core traditional branches like electrical, electronics, etc., people don't immediately go to work like what computer science people used to do.
We don't
They try
get core
to
electronics job, electrical jobs.
exactly,
Yes.
and the more knowledge you have in such traditional streams, the better for you. So I saw some of my seniors, very close seniors, who went into IIT Madras, IIT Bombay. So that inspired me actually. So I studied for GATE examination, graduate test in engineering. So in the second attempt, I got a good rank for IIT Delhi, and I got Power Electronics, Electrical Machines and Drives branch. So I went there. And as I mentioned, there when I was in the fourth semester, when I was appearing for placements, Air Force itself had come on campus. So it became a pure coincidence that I entered the military. Otherwise, I was thinking probably I'll go in the research line next, probably join DRDO or do PhD or something like that.
So generally, this IIT, as I understand, specifically IIT Delhi, so Delhi University, JNU, and to some extent IIT Delhi are seen to be at a time printing machines of bureaucrats. That's how they were seen to be.
Yes.
So was there an inspiration at that point of time that many of them did study for civil services, and I could also? And you said there was a placement drive, and probably looking at it, we can also say it happened by chance. But if you look at it as an option, as a graduate, if I have Air Force as an option on one side and civil services as an option on one side, what should I choose? Why?
Yes. First, speaking about my own experience, when I was in IIT Delhi, yes, there was one of my own close friend who had chosen IIT Delhi and not IISc or IIT Madras, especially because he was preparing for UPSC. So some students have this advantage or plan that they can do both, do MTech as well as attend classes in Delhi and crack the exam. However, I feel it's not a good idea because what happened with my friend was his attendance was so low in some of the practical classes, especially, that he was failed by a professor. The professor found out that this student is interested in civil services more than in MTech. Then he had to put more efforts to clear that and all that. But now, speaking of me, I was like a frog in a pond, I would say. I had no clue that Delhi was a hub for civil services. I was obsessed with this MTech itself because MTech workload was too much, and I was finding it tough to clear the papers because I had come from, first of all, south to north, the cultural shock, and the syllabus from state to IIT syllabus, and the MTech syllabus was little different than the bachelor's graduation syllabus. Very tough, I would say. So most of my energy and time was gone in that only. I don't really know how the others who were there for UPSC could manage both. I can't think of myself doing both. We were not finding enough time to even finish our lab work, record writing, etc. So it was quite a hectic time in my MTech. Now, you ask me what should one choose given Air Force or armed forces and given civil service. I would say it's a very subjective choice, but for a woman, I would say in the military because of the traditional way wars have been fought. Women you don't see in the top echelons of the military in leadership positions. The things are changing now because the nature of warfare is changing. From fighting man to man, it's now pressing of a button, firing of a missile, which a woman also can very well do. So now the nature of warfare having changed, the entry of women into forces and that too as officers and promotion into leadership levels is now increasing. When I was there 10 years ago, when I entered, there was no scheme at all for permanent commission. Now 2019 onwards, the policy has come. SSC to PC, that means short service to permanent commission. So if that scenario is as such where I was, for a woman, I would always suggest civil service has a better, avenue to rise right up to the top. There's no bar for a woman to be a cabinet secretary today. You see so many women in the IAS, IPS. Although the ratio is less because of our own traditional, society and the social stigma, but policy-wise, there is no entry barrier, nothing. But in the armed forces, the barrier was in the policy itself because of the nature of warfare. So that is changing now, but it will take some time to completely change. And for the 100% of the women entrants to get permanent commission and to rise to the top echelon, it will take some time. So that way, if you see career progression wise, I would always say civil services would have been a better choice. But in the coming future, I would say the margins will fade between the two.
ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನ ನಾನು ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಜನರಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ, ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕಲಿ ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ, ಮೈಸೂರು, ಹಾಸನ, ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಗಳೂರು ಈ ಕಡೆ ಜನ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡಲ್ಲ. ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕಲಿ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳನ್ನ ಇಷ್ಟು ದೂರ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಕಳ್ಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡಲ್ಲ. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಹೀಗಿದ್ದು ಎಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಓಕೆ. ನೀವೇ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಓದಿದ್ರು. JC ಮೈಸೂರು ಈಗ ಡೀಮ್ಡ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಆಗ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಅಂಡರ್ BTU.
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್.
ಇದೆಲ್ಲದರ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ನಾನು IITಗೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಕನಸು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಂತ. ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ಸೀನಿಯರಿಂದ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೈರ್ ಆದ್ವಿ ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಮಗಳನ್ನ ಕಳಿಸೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಇದ್ರ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಹೌ ಡಿಡ್ ದಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್? ಆ ಒಂದು ಟೈಮ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಿಳಿಸಿ.
ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಅದರಿಂದ ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡೋಣ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ, ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು, ನಂದು ಕೆಲವರು ಸೀನಿಯರ್ಸ್ MTechಗೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈ ನೇಚರ್ ಆರ್ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಿಸ್ ರಿಬೆಲಿಯಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ, ಐ ವುಡ್ ಸೇ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ನಮ್ಮದು ಸೀನಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮದು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಆ ಫೈಟ್ಸ್ ನಡೀತಿತ್ತು. ಲೈಕ್ ಅಚ್ಚಾ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡನ್ ಇಟ್, ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಇತ್ತು ಆವಾಗ. ಸೊ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಆರ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ, ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ, ದೇ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ದಿ ಮನೇಲಿ ಏನು ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಕೂಡ ಕಲಿತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದೇ ವರ್ 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, but they had picked up the same mentality of the families. Like they used to look down upon their, female classmates. ನಿನ್ನಿಂದ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಬಿಡು, ನಿಂಗೇನು BTech ಆದರೆ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ, ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೆಂಟಾಲಿಟಿ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಐ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್. ಎಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಅ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ದಟ್ ಡ್ರೈವ್ಸ್ ಮೀ ಫಾರ್ ಅ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಮೀ.
ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತು.
ಎಸ್.
ಬಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆ ಚಾಲೆಂಜನ್ನು ನೀವು ಮನೇಲಿ ಒಪ್ಸಿದ್ದು ಅಥವಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಆ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ನ ಒಪ್ಸಿದ್ದು?
ಎಸ್, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಫೇಸ್ಡ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆಪೋಸಿಷನ್ ಆವಾಗ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಐ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ನಾನು IITನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಫಾರ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ವಾಪಸ್ ಫ್ಲೈಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆದಾಗ, ದಟ್ ಡೇ ವಾಸ್ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ UPSC. ಮೈ ಮದರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಡ್ರ್ಯಾಗ್ಡ್ ಮೀ ಟು ದಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪಸ್, ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಬರೀ ನೀನು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. She was still hoping.
11ರಲ್ಲೂ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ?
Yes. No. They wanted me to write. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಏನೂ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ದೇ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಮೀ ಟು ಇಂಟ್ರಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹುಚ್ಚತ್ಸಣ.
ಹಾಂ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಮ್ಮಿ ಲಿಟ್ರಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಎಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರೀ ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಜರ್ನಿ ನಂಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಫೀವರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಐ ಸೆಡ್ ನೋ, ನಾ ಬರೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ರೀಸನ್ ವಾಸ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಶಿ ವಾಸ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಮೀ, ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಡೂ ಇಟ್. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ರೆಬೆಲ್ ಇನ್ ಮೀ ಸೆಡ್ ನೋ. ದೆನ್ ದೇ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್, ಇಲ್ಲ ಇವಳು ಒಪ್ಪೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ ಇವಳು ಏನು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾಳೆ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಳೆ. ಸೊ ದೇ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರು ಸುಮ್ಮನಾದರು. ದೆನ್ ಐ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮೈ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ಜರ್ನಿ.
Wonderful. So, having some experience of being in Delhi, you used a very good word called culture shock.
Yes.
And I relate to that very much. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಸೌಮ್ಯವಾದ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ನಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಸೌಮ್ಯವಾದ ಜನರ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಬೆಳೆದು ಡೆಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕಠೋರವಾದ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲವರು ಯಾರ ಮುಖದಲ್ಲೂ ನಗು ಕಾಣಿಸಲ್ಲ, ಹೀಗೆಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ನೋಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಸೊ how did you face that and how did you acclimatize yourself? Yes, you went to a college, so probably you had friends and around, but acclimatizing yourself for a post-graduation and a very level jump when it comes to the study, because from VTU
state
to
level
IIT
to
Delhi,
IIT. I would say very good question, because I think nandu mental strengthening and personality change ಶುರು ಆಗಿದ್ದೆ MTech ಇಂದ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಸಡನ್ಲಿ ನಾಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ, ಮನೆಯಿಂದನೂ ನಾನು ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅದು. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನಾನು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಹಾಸ್ಟೆಲ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗೇ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಡೇ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಮನೆಯಿಂದನೇ BTech ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು, ಮನೆ ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆನೇ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಿಂದ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಈವನ್ ಮನೆಯಿಂದನೂ ನಾನು ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆ ನೇಚರ್ ನನಗೆ ಬಂದೇ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಬಹಳ ಇಂಡೋರ್ ಆಗಿ ಬೆಳೆಸಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಐ ನೆವರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಪ್ಲೇ ವಿತ್ ದ ಕಿಡ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನೇಬರ್ಹುಡ್, didn't know how to make friends and all that. So I went there. First of all, the biggest shock was the weather. When I went, it was this scorching summer, July, and then came the shivering winter. A thermals anta ಒಂದು ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಲೂ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ there were days where I was shivering in my class. Then ನಂದು ನಾರ್ತ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ನೋಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, do you know there is something called thermals, you should wear that. So that was the situation. And the classrooms, the government colleges don't have any temperature control, anything. So it was tough that way also. Then the food was not our kind. So adannu adjust aglikku ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೈಮ್ ಬೇಕಾಯಿತು. So it was a very mentally challenging and
Physically challenging.
Physically also challenging phase. I would say how I overcame that was towards the third semester I was totally low. I was like I'll almost give up and probably return another agogbittitu. But the placement started after that. So when I got into Air Force in the starting of the fourth semester itself, placements agbidutte. Then you have to finish the project only. The classroom stuff is also done, only the project will be remaining. So when I got placed into the Air Force, fourth semester starting, then that hope, a ray of hope started like, I can do something. I'm better than what I think. Atara shuru aito. Then of course some one or two friends also came in the way. They introduced me to their culture. They became sweet to me, unlike the other strangers. Then there were some teachers also, professors also, who supported the students in the way of counseling. So I took support of counseling because there were so many low points. I can honestly accept and admit here. And I would say students should seek counseling when you feel very low mentally because of studies or being away from home. Homesickness was also a big factor for me. ಸೊ ಆ ಟೈಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ವಿಶ್ವೇಶ್ವರನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹಿ ವಾಸ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ಸ್ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್. He counseled me because he understood I was feeling low. I myself had spoken to my guide and she had referred me to him. And he also made me speak to the psychological counselor once. So all these things helped me. And ನನಗನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ seeing the suicides happening in IIT and in Kota, NEET aspirants, etc. ಈ stigma around this psychological issues or psychiatric issues should go away. And students should not hesitate to seek help when required. And I sought help after that. That helped me sustain till I got placed. And once I got placed, I got that, a big jump in positivity. So that's how it worked.
Wonderful. So you have touched a very important point about counseling. So before we go ahead, I want to just elaborate a little on that so that you give a very important message. Now, from multiple places, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಿಂದ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ದೂರದ ಭಾಗಗಳಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಓದ್ತಾ ಇರೋರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮೆನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್, ಫಾರ್ ಫಿಯರ್ ಆಫ್ ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್, ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗೋ ಥ್ರೂ ಅ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಟೈಮ್. So at that time, the word called counseling, the word called seeking support has a lot of stigma.
Yes.
In terms, ನಾನೊಬ್ಬ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋದರೆ ನಂಗೆ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಲೆ ಕೆಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಅದು ನಂಗೆ ಬೇಕಾ ಅನ್ನೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲೂ ಇದೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ಅದರ್ ಸೈಡ್, counseling is also something which is not seen a very good professional space. So what is your message to the students in that line when you identify that you need something, some support as such, and how open should you be to that?
Yes, a very important question. As I told in my own experience, when you know or when you can see that you're not able to find a solution yourself, you're feeling lost, totally hopeless, that is when I think you should seek help, definitely. There are low points in everyone's journey, and a low point bandaga, you will understand, you will know that I'm not able to find a solution. You feel like there is no solution, there's an end. Now this is the end. Basically, it's not the end. It's your stress that is making you think so. And first thing is speak to someone who is your mentor or a close senior, elderly person preferably, because they will understand your mentality better.
A neutral person.
Yes, a neutral person also. Then they will suggest you a professional counselor who can properly help you. Or if their own words are enough for you, well and good. But if they understand, they will send you or suggest you to a professional counselor. And I would say do not hesitate to go there. For example, All India Rank 2 last year, 2023, I believe, he had spoken about this and he admitted or spoke about antidepressants that he took over some part of his journey, because I think he lost his mother during his journey due to cancer. So he had to fight depression during his preparation. And there is no shame in taking antidepressants. There's no shame in taking counseling. Rather, you will suffer more if you do not seek help.
Correct.
Either due to stigma, that nanal hodre, if I go there, I'll be branded so and so. Or because of superstition. Instead of doing that, you are looking at your stars, you're looking at your astrology ki my time will improve. That will only waste your time and will increase your problems, and it will end up in a more dangerous situation, which could have been easily avoided, I would say yes, you should. When you can't seek a solution to a problem, when you feel it's the end of the world, that is when I think you should immediately seek help.
So, ma'am here has a very, very important suggestion to all of you who are watching. Many times in your study life, many times in your career, not only study life, there might be a time where you feel that you need support. Please be very, very open to it. And this is no more a stigma. Asking for support is just leaning on somebody. Probably that life can be better ahead of that. So, on that note, now you said you chose Air Force.
Yes.
When you chose IIT Delhi, that's for a post graduation. Moving out was probably a question. So then they would have settled that ಓದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ. Now, Air Force is actually a very big decision in terms of
Yes.
getting into defense, specifically as a woman, and not a woman from, probably Kodagu, where every
Yes.
family has a defense personnel, or Haryana, Punjab, from Mysore, and with the
Very
background
few,
ನೀವು
very
ಬರೋದಕ್ಕೆ.
few.
ಸೊ ಏರ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರೈಂಡ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಅ ರೆಬೆಲಿಯಸ್ ಕಿಡ್ ಯು ವುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ಡ್ IIT is fine. But one side, when your mother has broken down and everybody is crying, naturally you see, ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಾ, ನಾನು ಬೇರೆನೂ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸಿರೋದಿರುತ್ತೆ. Your sister is a doctor, and
Yes.
I should also take IIT will give you much better placements also. So ಹಾಗೆ ಅನಿಸಿದ್ಯಾ, and how did you handle that particular
Yeah.
situation?
So when I got placed into Indian Air Force, again through the campus itself, before the results came, I had tried for other companies. One more job I had in my hand. It was an industry in Mussoorie, which was into electrical machine manufacturing. It was a private industry, so the better option would have been Indian Air Force any day. So that comparison was already there. Now, the second thing, how did I overcome the opposition from my family? Because my parents broke down. I don't know, from far away relatives started calling me saying that don't join, don't join. So, why I still went ahead was, as I told you, in my lowest point in my life during those, MTech days, what gave me a hope was this, placement into this very, I would say, a noble organization uh, of armed forces. That told me that yes, there is something in you. uh, we still believe in you. When I was not ready to believe in myself, the people who came for placement showed a hope to me that yes, we believe in you. So that was a big transformative point in my life, I would say. So I clinged on to that hope, finished my MTech, and was looking forward to join. So this small setback of parents not being happy would not have changed my decision. Rather, I expected them to be quite happy, but yes, having uh, a girl child, they have their own worries and responsibilities. So they were worried. So I understood that I can change their mind in future, if not today. And I knew that they're worried because they saw whatever is shown on the media, the traditional nature of military. But I somehow knew it's not the case. The job is not always in the front lines, and that you will get shot the day you go join. So I was sure that I can convince them someday, somehow. So I went ahead with it.
Okay, so that's very bold of you when you say, and you always have stood by what you want to do. But you have reached a very interesting time period of your life now. So you are 24 by
Yes.
the time you have completed.
Yes, correct.
And naturally, that's the time when women around, irrespective of the background that they come from, due to societal pressure and others, start feeling the pressure of marriage, of choosing somebody, and okay, career ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ ಬಟ್ ಜೊತೆಲಿ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ when did you actually start facing that pressure? How did you handle that?
Yes. I would say I had this protective shield of my elder sister. She being a doctor, she was doing MBBS, followed by that post graduation. So I had this shield that till she gets married, anyway, I'm not going to be disturbed. And thanks to her, she chose a longer path. She wanted to do her post graduation also, and she waited for her boyfriend to finish post graduation. So till then, she chose to remain unmarried. Uh, she married later, I think about 29, 30 years of age. So till that time, anyway, there was no pressure on me because my parents were worried about her first. The focus was on her. Now, when the focus turned on me much later, yes, I could feel the heat then. As soon as my sister got married, chalo, abhi tumhara number hai, aa jao. So I was told to talk to certain people from our own place, etc., who were in good positions, suitable for me. My parents had searched them. However, coming from military, I would have preferred someone from the military. So I started looking on defense, matrimony websites, etc., just for the sake of it, half heartedly. However, I realized when I was doing this, somehow it was not interesting me. What was rather interesting me or occupying my attention all the time was my professional ambitions. I had realized that in my years, so and so years of service till then, because I saw military being a traditionally male dominated place. It always bothered me why women are not able to be in top positions, leadership positions. Yes, of course, I could not have changed anything being a very junior officer. So I thought if I have to be in a better position, it may happen in my next generation in the military, but I can't wait till then. So I thought I should change the place of work. And anyway, I was in the Short Service Commission. It was a wonderful opportunity. Like after 10 years, sorry. So after 10 years, anyway, I had this chance to go out. So that idea started forming around that time. So that was the same time when this marriage idea came. So half heartedly, I was doing that. So in my subconscious mind, this idea was forming parallelly that yes, if I have to be unstoppable to go to the top position, probably I'll have to change the workplace, unfortunately. And I had no choice also till the time the permanent commission scheme came. So I started preparing my mindset towards that. Started looking at books, etc. So I was doing this marriage thing and I was doing this research and search on UPSC. So probably there, naturally, my energy flowed more towards this and less towards that. I met certain people, so many people. One of them even told me outrightly that probably you love UPSC more than you love me. So it's not going to happen. So they understood. And of course, I understood how difficult it is for women to have a professional, aspiration and also marry, because I got so many conditions and terms like if we marry, you'll have to be with me in Bangalore, you'll have to be with me in so and so place, you cannot work, you cannot do this. I was not ready to compromise there, definitely. And I was also sure that if I pick up this civil service journey, I will definitely find someone or the other eventually. So there was no hurry, according to me. So I kept postponing it and postponing it. And
So within your mind, for all this to happen is fine because that's how you've been
yeah,
through, you've stood through very strong. How is it to handle at home?
yeah, I
Because
was
they have
exactly
to face
coming
a
to that.
society.
My parents initially they tried to, force me towards it. Ki you should meet so and so people. But then I was also preparing. Now I had come out of Air Force, preparing at home. One or two attempts I failed. Now when I cleared the prelims, they got confidence that yes, she's serious. Rather, even when I failed also, even when I was preparing but failing in the attempts, the thing that made the difference was when they saw me actually studying seriously throughout the day. That's what changed their mind, not the result. The result came much later.
Correct.
Till then, I was studying in my workplace and only talking to them on phone. Now, after my release from Air Force, when I came home and I was studying at home in front of them throughout the day, that was something which they had never seen. Because as a child and in college, I was only, that one day before the exam types of student. Now uh, the Air Force discipline or whatever sort of helped me crack this exam also. So I was disciplined, I was determined, and they saw that. And they never told me this, that because we saw you, we're changing our mind. But I understood that gradually, that probably that is what changed their behavior towards me. They understood that she wants this badly. So they kept quiet. In between, there were some, instances where they felt worried and they were sad, and I had to convince them, sometimes fought with them. There have been ups and downs, but more or less, they have been supportive since my release from Air Force. Yes.
So that's quite a idea. Now there are many such Vinutas outside. There are
Yes.
many such Vinutas outside who would want to take your path, who would want to do something what you did, but probably may not find the parental support that you found, or also are not very strong-willed like you are.
Yes.
What would you want to say to them?
For the parental support angle, I would say, um, for a relationship to work, if you get married, it cannot be through external arrangement. It should be from your own heart as well. So you should think of that as well. Parents emotionally may push you into it, but there's no point getting into a relationship, getting divorced, and fighting legal battles just because you're not interested. So I would say take a very wise decision, irrespective of how much is the parental pressure, because you should also focus on your studies. You cannot get into some legal battles there. So if you're comfortable, I would say you can still manage both. There have been so many women candidates who have been married with children who also cracked the exam. It's quite possible. It's not impossible. In fact, in this batch, in this exam 2024, there was a woman candidate who was already in the IRS, who got a rank which got her IAS now. She had delivered a baby 20 days before the mains exam. She delivered the baby. She was pregnant, 9 months, delivered the baby. After 20 days, she's in the exam hall writing
Yes.
UPSC mains. And she got a 2-digit rank, which got her IAS this time. So that should be an example to all of you, whoever is watching and who's a woman who's facing such pressure, that there are no bounds to your willpower. So if you have that will. Now, you spoke of will, strong will. How would that come? Basically, that would come if you believe in yourself. If you don't believe that you can do something, then naturally your willpower will be proportionally weaker. Uh, that would be like aligning with what the society expects or says about you. The society will always expect less because you're a woman, but you should always, I would say, escape the sticky floor, break through the glass ceiling, and rise much higher. So, first thing is to believe in yourself, I would say.
So that's a wonderful word to say, believe in yourself. And that belief is very strong. It allows you to explore, it allows you to do everything possible. So we'll very soon get into the UPSC journey aspect of it and to probably delve through the entire journey. But coming to that idea of being a woman, and you said very difficult to find somebody for an aspirational woman who has multiple wants to do many things,
Yes.
to be in an institution of marriage or to get into an institution of marriage. We are in a society of that space. So, is there something you feel like you said you've seen many things in defense that definitely will not change or probably will change for the next generation? What are such changes you wish to see in the society in general? Because a Vinutha would want to do this and has not been allowed to, or there are many conditions as such
Yes.
in that aspect. So, this question is a little complex
Yeah.
on the society aspect of it. So, how do you see that changing? Or you think, no, it comes back to again say, this is what it is, and I'll be like this.
Okay. Um, the societal view of what a woman should be or can be. For this to change, I think it will take time. And as we study in UPSC, the constitution is supposed to be the tool which will help bring that social transformation. Now, the uh, reservation for women in Lok Sabha, etc., are reflecting that only. So, I think it will take time. But the change will always be real when it happens bottom up and not top to bottom. So I think the families can play a role here. how parents groom their daughters, what kind of tasks they give to their daughters, what kind of words they tell them, and what kind of remarks they do. Those things will all, cast a mark on the child's psychology or mind, which will shape her own idea of herself. Now, when a girl is determined, nothing can stop her. First of all, through that, sun preference or sun meta preference, what happens? You are stopping the girl from forming that, will. So I think a stronger change would be at the grassroots level in the families, how a girl child is reared. I think the preference for male child should first go. And even when the preference is gone, the way the girl child is brought up should also, be changed, I would say. Because I've seen how um, girl children are treated, so many restrictions on them. You can't play there, you can't play after a certain time, you can't go there, you can't do this. You can get into this sport, but not this sport. Now, luckily, the infrastructure wise, things are improving. It's more inclusive for women as well. Women, I mean, the girl children as well. Now, it's up to the parents to take that bold step and allow the girl children to explore anything and everything they want to without bounds. I think that culture has to change from bottom up rather than top to bottom, I would say. Yeah.
So it's a very deep change that we are looking at,
Yes.
and we hope that it happens at some point of time.
Yes.
So, and when it comes to the idea, probably this is the last question of this segment before we get into UPSC. When it comes to the institution of marriage, you still see an idea that you want to pursue it ahead at some point of time? Or have you come to a larger idea that UPSC and the service, what I do is what I'm doing, marriage is not my cup of tea?
Yes, a very interesting question. I would say, personally, it is an institution which is quite traditional, and now we see different forms of relationships, live-in relationships, same-sex couples, same-sex marriages.
Marriages without kids.
Yes, double income, no
No
kids,
kids.
couples. So I would say, I'm not traditional that way, that I should be married. And I somehow cannot picture myself. That natural image of yourself, what forms in your brain, that in future I want to be here, I want to be there. I've never seen an image in my mind where I see myself bringing up kids and taking care of them. That has never come in my mind. Probably thanks to my strict parents. I probably picked it up from my mother. She once told me she never wanted to marry or have kids.
Oh.
So, um, at least the kids part, I'm somehow clear. But yes, I feel the need of a partner. It will be definitely a shoulder, not just for the reproduction sake or continuing the race or family, for your own support of, mutual support. You need a shoulder. And after a certain time, all your friends are busy with their families, their own children. So then you feel alone and left out. Now you feel you have no option rather to follow the same line of the society. So I think that way I will also probably end up with someone or the other. But I'm not in a hurry for that, I would say. And now that I've cleared this exam and I'm going to enter this field, I would rather prefer someone there so that it's practically easy for me to be together. Yes.
So, we've lived through a journey till now, which has been quite riveting. That it starts from Mysore. Mysore is seen to be a retiree's paradise, a very lazy city. And from there comes a girl who talks about how her aspirations grew. And ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ಇಬ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ನೌಕರಾಗಿದ್ದು ನಂತರ the idea of how she wants to take up a career. An engineer, post-graduation in Delhi, Air Force happens, and quite how she revealed that it happened by chance, something that she did not dream to initially. But some 10 years of service and then UPSC. So now we will understand how the overall journey of UPSC comes through and what did she go through about it. And for all of us who are in and out about UPSC, what is that squadron leader Vinutha coming out after 10 years of service, something that would have definitely tired her physically, mentally, and all that, but still continues to work, does the grueling job of grinding herself towards UPSC and then achieves also. It's not only dreaming, it also achieving. So let's understand that in little detail in the next segment as such.